In favour? Any opposed? No. Thank you very much. And I think this one will take 2 minutes, if we can all. Or the next one is an operative, make operative. So if you just come to the table and describe it, this is one of those plan change items where at the end of a process, we only have to approve what the decision that has already been made. But I'll just go to
Kia ora koutou. So this next item is to make Plan Change 103 operative. It's a rezoning in Silverdale West from Future Urban Zone to Business Light Industry Zone. The Plan Change decision was released in October and there were no appeals received, so it's just procedural to make it operative.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Any
question?
Sorry, Councillor.
Yeah. Very just a quick question in terms of some of the accompanying attachments with respect of the precinct plans, and in that they've got an indicative open space for the existing permanent and intermittent streams. There's a graphic there that identifies those areas in this plan change. My question is really just around given it's a precinct plan, the use of the word indicative, I'm assuming that carries with it, a sense that there might be some slight change, but there can be no significant change from those indicative, in this case, indicative open space network that's identified. So it's not exact, but it's a very clear designation as to the quantity and the location of that open space in this plan. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Right. Oh, okay, we have more questions. Remember, this is, the decisions have been made, we just have to endorse. We don't really have a choice, but Councillor Sayers?
Yeah, the feedback, so I just want some clarification here, and because the Rodney local board didn't support the plan change, and I think they actually spoke at the hearing. They sent a representative along to speak at the hearing. So, and they raised a number of concerns, and I just want to understand what changes had been made as a result of their feedback and also the presentation to the hearings. So they had concerns around that it was an out of sequence plan change for starters, and as a result of that the Dairy Flat subdivision now has several unplanned industrial yards consented in the future urban areas, and these have a cumulative effect on the rural character of the area. That it's out of sequence, that it impacts congestion and traffic safety. If private plan change 103 is consented, its current form will impact negatively on already overcapacity motorway network between Silverdale and Albany, including the Silverdale intersection. Creates congestion on a major transport corridor between State Highway 1 and State Highway 16, which serves interregional transport as a designated alternative route between Auckland and Northland when the Dome Valley is closed. They're concerned that it required developer-funded transport infrastructure for the increased public transport service to the proposed industrial area, as the current bus services along Dairy Flat Highway and Hibiscus Station to Albany are not hourly services and does not operate in the weekends. There's no current funding in Auckland Transport's budgets to increase this service. There's the Hibiscus Bus Coast Station is within walkable catchment and to the proposed industrial area, and there's no pedestrian or safe cycling access across to it.
just Councillor Sayes, are you speaking or?
No, I'm
question?
these are the questions that they've had that I'm posing as questions.
Okay.
And because I want to know the answers to these concerns. So, and even Watercare does not have the capacity to connect the proposed industrial area. So those concerns are raised by the local board, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to get a feel for, have they been addressed? Because at the moment, you know, they have serious concerns about it.
Council, AT, Watercare and the local board opposed this private plan change at the beginning, but then subsequently, as always with these private plan changes, there's a long process of back and forth. Is there any information that you can tell us of the mitigations and things that happen through the process to get where we are?
I guess that would be through the plan change decision, where they've kind of like set out how it's kind of gone through the plan change, but also just in relation to like the infrastructure and transport, that issues that were raised, the plan change provisions, they do have certain like, I think they enable stage development, so development can't occur until like the transport or the cycling method or infrastructure is in place.
So I take it that the commissioners were happy with what they heard on those.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm so convinced about it, so I won't be supporting it.
No, thank you, Councillor Sayers, and as our discussions recently, our experience on these is we normally don't often get our way with the private plan change process, which the Mayor has been clear with the government is a real issue, considering they want more of this direction out of sequence. No more questions. Right, so remember this is just at the procedural, Councillor Gillan. Yep, Councillor Gillan.
Sorry, just to confirm then, so the local board, Auckland Transport and Watercare all opposed this, but the commissioners have approved it. So what is the legal implications if this committee does not make it operative?
Because this committee, so our advice, of course, is that because this committee is not the decision maker, whilst you have the final decision, you were not there to hear the submissions or consider the hearings and all of the evidence, that it would be a very difficult position for you to take to somehow reject this. What if that happened? Then it would need to start again. You need to go back into the submission process and rehear all the evidence again. Issue would still remain that you would still not be hearing that. It would still come to you ultimately. So it's a bit of a kind of a cycle issue there. I think we all acknowledge, certainly our last term, I realise you weren't around this table last term, Councillor, but I know within your local board experience that this can occur when we have issues with the affordability of infrastructure, the timing of it, and the fact that private plan changes can just come in and kind of throw all that up in the air. So in a way, this is not necessarily a unique situation. It doesn't mean that we are always happy with it. But there is a decision issue here. If you choose to reject this, it would need to go back into a hearing process again.
Can I just have a follow-up question then? So I'm not going to be supporting this. But my follow-up question is, what if we don't make a decision? Is there a time limit where the committee actually has to approve it, or can it just sit there and not be approved?
That's a good question. I can't remember. Is there a time frame after a decision? I can't quite remember. A time frame to make a decision after this decision after a hearing or recommendation from the panel?
I think it's just as soon as practical. I think that's the phrase, yep.
Well, I guess we have had this discussion a number of times. My understanding is that this then goes, if we reject it at this point, right at the end, the cost is on us, right? Like we would pay for the whole process again instead of the private developer, and inevitably it would be approved again.
Well, that's right. That's what I mean. It's just cyclical. It'll come back to us ultimately. we really have no other, have no other choice in this, at this stage of the process.
Mayor Brown?
Yeah, I've got to say that I've some sympathy for Councillor Gillen. We're not just a rubber stamp here. If we get situations like this where some people are quite concerned about something that's got through our independent commissioners, do we have a review of independent commissioners who have a habit of approving things that we don't like? I mean, is there some sanction on them? That's the first question. And the second one is, given what we discussed this morning, where the government are going to say that we have to pay money to people if we've done something to reduce their land, this is a case where what we're about to do is grant a windfall to Fletchers of all appalling people. And we won't be, I bet we don't have any way of sharing in that upside that we're about to grant them. And so can we do something about that, or can we have that added into their submission early in the morning? There we are. Fletchers have got something approved by a group of people that are independent from us, who don't report to us, who we don't have any say in who they are, and they do something or other which the member for Rodney's not happy about. The member for Councillor Watson had a few questions about it, and we just go, oh yeah, okay, we're going to have lunch, we'll approve it. And that doesn't. There's a question there. If that's the system we have, why does it even come to us? What am I collecting around here in the room? It's probably cost thousands of dollars an hour to sit here and avoid lunch. What's the point of that? I didn't sign up just to come along here and nod because something or other got somewhere system as a result of people who I've had nothing to do with. For supporting a company who've got a dreadful record in Auckland, Fletchers, and so there's a few questions there. I didn't mean to put your lunch off any more. I know how starving some of you are, but still, little people in India will eat that food.
So just perhaps some quick responses. Yes, we can review, and we do, the work of our independent commissioners. We do have a list, and we do review those, and we can change that. Value capture, I think we did deal with a little bit in the resource management submission, and we're going to put some words in around the benefits that planning and zoning can bring to the land, not just the disbenefits, if you want to call it that way. And your third point about the decision making, again, this is the RMA that says that the council must make the decision. However, this council chooses to use independent hearing commissioners as opposed to elected members to make decisions. So in that situation, you will always have a level of rubber stamping because you're not involved in the decision. It's the way the RMA is set up at the moment. The new regime looks, I think, quite similar, but there could be some changes there. But what that does do is, in this situation, it does mean that it is effectively a rubber stamp from your end.
Well, the very thing about our submission, then we should point out from the ones we discussed this morning that we don't like being a rubber stamp.
Yeah,
And we're going to deal with that.
I was having a telepathic conversation about that just as you were saying it. So, yeah, thank you.
Are there any more questions? Yeah, I guess we could.
What's the cost if we say no? If the mood was about saying no, we would probably just ask to pull this item right now, and we would come back to it because I'd be very concerned about saying no. Yeah, there's massive legal risk if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have a briefing on this on a Monday because we have been back and forth. We know we appealed, we know we declined. We won a couple $100 million worth of infrastructure on doing some of those things last term, but I think it was one of the first times we've acted that way last term, which I support. But I think at this point, we could be up for a huge legal risk and sort of millions of dollars to get to the same outcome. So we just have to acknowledge what that means as a decision has been made. Councillor Turner.
Just real quick, this is not the one that's got the data centre and this, but that's been in the media, is it? It's the other side. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Just confirming that.
Cool. Right. Would anyone like to debate this? Councillor Sayers.
Yeah, I want to speak to it because I think this is I'm going to explain why. It's a perfect example that this needs to be tested, and we need to send this back and a message sent to those independent commissioners for a rethink on this. It's not the cost of saying, what's the cost if we say no? It's what's the cost if we say yes? Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a situation where the sewage from this development is going to be trucked out, there will be no pipes, and you're going to end up with a whole lot of those trucks full of sewage, trucking it out for years. Do you want to do that? There won't be any cycling lanes, there won't be any safe roading put in place, there won't be the bus services, there won't be the bus service infrastructure, there won't be the shelters, there won't be the footpath connections put in, there won't be the water connections, and I've just talked about the sewage. So, I actually think this is a perfect test case for us to push back on. I mean, it's very, I don't know what quite the right word I should be using here, but it just comes before us and we're rubber stamping it, and it's the wrong decision just because a bunch of independent commissioners think they've made the right one. Well, colleagues, they haven't made the right decision here. We're going to end up with a shambles. So I think we should push back on it. I'd ask for your vote against this motion for the reasons that I've outlined. Thank you.
Are there any others? Councillor Williamson.
Yeah, just look really quickly. This is a dreadful position for a councillor who's from a long, long way away from this area, doesn't know it well, and I rely on the local councillor to have the strong views about it, and the local board to have really strong views because it's in their patch. And when I hear the number of people are opposed, I just am not equipped to vote for this, so I intend to vote no.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I think I've listened to Councillor Sayers and I asked quietly, but I'm going to say it publicly now with my mic on, to Megan, is what you have said correct, and she doesn't know. So, Megan, my thoughts around this is delay. There's a whole lot of facts we need to understand. I don't think it's a good look for us if we say no. But on the other hand, I don't know that yes is the right answer either. So in the interests of not doing something as a test case, my advice, Chair, would be to delay and make sure we have some real facts around us and discuss this next month. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to delay, but I will just say we just need to be careful. This was approved for notification with the only person abstaining was Councillor Turner. Everyone else supported it. I put forward a request staff prepare a council submission, particularly focusing on infrastructure requirements and funding, and we put forward a submission. Our issue is that everything going backwards from a court point of view says that our submission was heard, they changed things based on our submission, we did an appeal, this will be significant. So I'm happy to pull it now, but we are at the far end of a decision. A council body has made the decision. If councillors want to go back to having councillors on plan changes, then great, but it will mean weeks and weeks and weeks and hearings when I know that people are limited with their time now. So happy to pull it and have a workshop about this, but yeah, do we need to do an amendment if we withdraw, if we just withdraw the item? Yeah, happy to withdraw the item, and then we'll have some legal advice over what that means going forward. But I will say there are many a times that I pushed back last term and people pushed back on the pushing back. and now suddenly this is the opposite way. So we're at the wrong part of the process to push back. Yeah, we could have declined it 2 years ago, but that was not what. No one proposed declining it 2 years ago. The mover and the seconder, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Filipaina, do you support withdrawing to discuss?
Personally, no. And the reason I'm saying no is I just really thought that this term was going to be a term that we actually do something instead of delaying. And this is, I just hope it's not a precedent in regards to this. I totally agree with your whakaaro, Chair, in regards to the previous decision. I don't know what's happened. But Chair, I personally won't. So to make it easier, if you're willing to do that, to withdraw it, I will withdraw my second for this to make it easier for you, Chair, to end up then doing it, because here we go again. I just was hoping that we weren't going to put so many delays in front of work that we've already agreed to, but to make it easier for you, I just hope we don't end up going back and just doing what we've done before, which is the worst thing for Tāmaki Makaurau. So to make it easier for you, Chair, if you wish to then second it, you then have Councillor Henderson and yourself to make the decision, because personally I do not agree with it, and therefore then I will remove my name from this unless we have a division. But look, Chair, you've already indicated that you that the position you are as Chair, and that's your prerogative, is to delay it. And so I would make that easier by me withdrawing the seconder to put you there to make it easier if Councillor Henderson indicates that he is also willing to withdraw it. I'm not, but it'd be easier for you, Chair. Kia ora.
Just hold your position there. I'll just ask Councillor Henderson. This is sort of slightly out of order, but a procedural question. So, Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm happy to withdraw. I agree with Councillor Filipaina's points, but I think it just is the most pragmatic option that we just chill out a bit and come back and sort it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm happy, if it's procedural, to put my seconder on the list. So Councillor Filipaina withdraw. I'll put... Sorry, he'll withdraw his... sorry, Councillor Filipaina's withdrawn his seconding. I'm now seconding, and both Councillor Henderson and I have agreed, due to the uncertainty, I have a real concern that a conversation next month to address the concerns is better than rejecting and putting ourselves into a...
Chair, procedurally, can I move it then, if they've dropped out?
Well, now it's got a mover and a seconder, so no.
No?
I think. If the mover and the seconder withdraw...
I came here to make a decision. It's very late to be raising these issues, which aren't in any of the reports. This area is in my Ngāti Rango Te Tau territories. There are 4 marae in close vicinity to there who need jobs within a short drive from where they live to attract their people back. And I thought this city and this region needs the economic development. And for us to fluff about again, to call more reports and make no decisions, is, yeah, it's not what we're here for.
Councillor, we are currently discussing what is quite a procedural motion, quite a procedural discussion, because my concern is, and I've had advice from our Director of Strategy, that if we did reject, it will send us into a long-term legal situation that will make a delay quite extreme that we have to pay for, or we can have a pause for a month and organise a briefing or a workshop or whatever ASAP to discuss this, which will then, this will have to come back by the law to the March meeting to then approve again.
Mr. Chair, my understanding is that the mover and seconder withdrew, and now we've got a new mover and seconder, so we're back to debating this motion. Is that correct?
No, once it's withdrawn, the item is withdrawn.
Chair, can I just seek some clarity, because I think what's happening there is you're trying to avoid the risk that this is voted down, which then puts us on a path that we haven't had full advice about. And so you have stayed, sorry, Councillor Henderson has stayed the mover, Councillor Hills has replaced Councillor Filipina as the seconder. So they haven't withdrawn from moving and seconding, so there's no gap there, which member Blair could fill, right? So we have to address the item before us. The advice from the chair with the agreement of the mover and seconder is now to withdraw the item and defer it to next month. So that's where we're up to, in order to enable a workshop or briefing discussion so that people have full advice, so they can vote next month on whether to approve or not, cognizant of the legal implications either way. That's correct?
Sorry, just to clarify, if we have a mover and a seconder, is it being withdrawn or are we leaving it on the table for a month? Because if it's being withdrawn, then we don't have a mover and a seconder.
The advice I had was if we withdraw it, then there's every decision we can have it back in March.
Perhaps deferral the right word then. We're deferring it rather than withdrawing it. Yep,
Hang on.
Sandra's nodding as the GA. Okay.
Okay, we are now going to go to lunch and we'll come back and address this because I need advice because I don't want to make a extremely expensive decision without legal advice. Cool. So we're going to hold this discussion and go for a 40-minute lunch. So thank you.